Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're having a blessed morning. Come on in. I'm finna get started. And I'm going to go over first what the meaning of Black History. Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in the U.S. history, also known as African American History Month. The event grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild of note historian Carter G. Woodson and others prominent African Americans since 1976. Every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devoted a month to celebrate Black history. Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks was a civil rights activist in Alabama and secretary of the Montgomery chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP. Parks is known most for her refusal to give up her seat to a white man on the bus in Montgomery. Bus boycott. This boycott brought about the ruling by the Supreme Court that segregation on public buses is unconstitutional. Another one, Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass taught himself to read and write at a young age. After escaping slavery, he became an author, public speaker, and prominent leader of the aboltionist movement. In addition to his missionary work, Douglass also supported and and voted for advocated for women's rights. Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman, a brave leader during the Underground Railroad movement. Harriet Tubman escaped from slavery and spent 2 years guiding others enslaved people to freedom through the Underground Railroad as a conductor. Tubman was also a spy, scout, nurse, and soldier during the Civil War for the Union Army. Medgar Evers. Medgar Evers was a World War II veteran and civil rights leader. He was the NAACP first field officer in Mississippi. He helped lead protests against the segregation of public primary schools, beaches, parks, and at the University of Mississippi. Evers also organized voter registration drivers and started new NAACP chapters in Mississippi. Hello, Josh. Hey, happy Friday to you. I hope you're having a blessed morning, and I hope you're having a blessed morning at work. Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson, as a player for the Brooklyn Dodgers, Jackie Robinson was the first African American professional baseball player in U.S. Major League Baseball After he retired, Robinson was dedicated to civil rights activism and worked to raise money for both the NAACP and SCLC. Booker T. Washington. Born in slavery, Booker T. Washington overcame many barriers that were blocking him from getting an education after his family gained freedom through the Emancipation Proclamation. There were no schools in his area. However, he didn't let that stop him. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right, brother Joshua. Instead, he walked 500 miles to enroll in school at the Hampton Institute. Washington excelled academically and became the first teacher and principal at the Tuskegee Tuskegee Institute. In addition, he was an author advisor to several presidents and one of the most influential African American public speakers in his day. Shirley Chisholm. She was the first African American woman elected to serve in Congress in 1968. Shirley Chisholm was the first African American woman to seek the U.S. presidential nomination from a major party. She co-founded the Congressional Black Caucus, which is designed to guarantee equal rights, opportunities, and access for African American and other marginalized groups. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest professional boxers of all time. He was an Olympic gold medalist and the first fighter to win the world heavyweight title 3 times. He was also a philanthropist, humanitarian, and activist that advocated for civil rights and religious freedom. Ali earned the Presidential Medal of the Freedom in 2005 and supported organizations like the Make-A-Wish Foundation and Special Olympics. Matthew Henson. Matthew Alexander Henson was the African-American explorer who accompanied Robert Peary on 7 voyages to architect over a period of nearly 25 years. They spent a total of 18 years on expedition together. Barbara John. On April 23rd, 1951, 16-year-old Barbara Johns led her classmates in a strike to protest the substantial condition at Robert Russia Morton High School, a museum in Prince Edward County, Virginia, as is explained on the Smithsonian. 450 classmates protest with her. Katherine Johnson. In 1951, Katherine Johnson joined the West Computers at the National Advisory Committee for Running Architects, and in 1958, she became the first Black female engineer at NASA. Claudette Colvin. Claudette Colvin is an American pioneer of the 1950 civil rights movement and a retired nurse aide on March 2nd, 1955. She was arrested at the age of 15 in Montgomery, Alabama, for refusing to give up her seat to a white woman on a crowded, segregated bus. Barack Obama. Barack Hussein Obama II is an American retired politician who served as the 44th president of the United States from 2009 to 2017, a member of the Democrat Party. Obama was the first African American president of the United States. Okay, last I'm gonna do, I have a dream speech that by Martin Luther King that my nephew did in class, and it say, "I have a dream." This is the name. I have a dream by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration to freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in who similar shattered as we stand today, signed by the Emancipation Proclamation. This monstrous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been scared in the flames of right injustice. Flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. Hello, Gwen, how you doing? I love you. I hope you're having a blessed morning. Happy Friday to you. But 100 years later, the Negro is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the mannequins of segregation and the change of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of public in the midst of the vast ocean and material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still landed in our colonies, American society, to find himself exiled in his own land. And so we come here today to dramatize the shameful condition. In a sense, we come to our nation capital to cash a check. When we architect of our republic wrote the manifest word of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were singing the promissory note to which every American was to fall hers. The note was promised that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, will be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that Americans default on this promissory note insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of under this scared obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficiency funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds in the great vaults of opportunity of this nation. And so we come to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demands the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this following spot to remind America of the furious urgings of now. This is no time to engage in a luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquility drugs of gradualism. Now to the time to make real the promise of Democrats. Now it is time to rise from the dark, desolate valley of segregation to the solid path of racial justice. Now it's time to lift our nation from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock of the brotherhood. Now it's the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. It would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This is swelling summer of the Negro legislation. Discontent will not pass until there is a invigorating autumn of freedom and equality. 1963 is not an end, but a beginning. And those who hope that the Negro indeed to blow all steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation return to business as usual. And there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is granted the citizenship rights. The whirlwind of revolt will continue to shake the foundation of our nation until the bright day of justice emerge. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on the warm threshold, which leads into the palace of justice. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek a satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forgive, conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. We must not allow our creator to protest the degenerate into physical violence again and again. We must rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militants which has engulfied the Negro community must not lead us to the distrust of our white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidenced by their presence here today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone. To work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meanings. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died. All right. My country, 'tis of thee, Sweet land of liberty, of the I see. Land where my father died, land of the pilgrim cry, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the projects hilltop of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiking everything of Philadelphia. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, when it's loud freedom, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men, white men, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing the word of the old Negro spirit. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. And this was from I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. So this is what Black history about. Talk to a Black history, what the meaning of Black history. I read some of the Black history, people that survived by them days. I wasn't there at that time, but I heard stories about it. So I've been over. I wasn't gonna be around just to do Black history for the rest of this month. I will do one song before I get off here. And I want to dedicate this to God because everything that went on back in the day, hey, God was in the mix of it. He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. Dark clouds may rise, a strong wind may blow, but I tell the world wherever I go that I have found a Savior, and He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. Dark clouds may rise, as strong winds may blow, but I tell the world wherever I go that I have found Hey, sweet, I know. I want to thank you, Gwen, for stopping by. I love you. I want to thank you, Joshua. Thank you for stopping by. I love you. And y'all have a blessed day. A blessed rest of your day. Sister Gwen right now can't get to me because I'm changing the phone. I'm on the minute to change the phone. The phone I had is cut off due to paying bill payment, but I'm getting another phone in the mail. It should be coming in the mail today. So I will call you if you have time. I love you.